This video is on a topic chosen by my patrons, and once again, they've demonstrated that they have the tastes of a rural pensioner. They want a video on the prices at Woolworths and Coles. Look, if you want me to be a current affair, I'm more than happy to be a current affair, but don't start whinging when I turn up on your doorstep with a camera right in your face. His neighbours say that all he does is eat frozen, ready-made meals, play video games, and occasionally obsess over Twitch streamers with large cans. Meet the neighbour from... well, not from hell, but that is a limbo life if I ever heard of one. Okay, I probably shouldn't pay you out for giving me money. Please continue to do so, which I know is getting harder because of the price increases at Woolies and Coles. Yeah, I know where my $6 white bread is buttered. You guys, thanks for tuning in. Now, look at this graph about the price of bread. It's gone way above inflation and way above the price of grain increases. It has increased 24.3% in a few years, when from wheat price increases it should have only increased 0.75%. Unbelievable. Look, you fucking asked for this video, alright? Don't complain. Four Corners took a break from their usual schedule of groundbreaking investigations that ask the tough questions such as, why do the sexual demographics of the AFL represent this table at Toddy's Bondi? And part 23 into our in-depth investigation on Are Boys in Private Schools Horny Pervs? Don't you think they should change the name of Four Corners to Four Fuckheads? However, to the fuckheads' credit, they kinda did something that wasn't culture war-y for once. Don't worry. It was still extremely boring. They had that going for them. They did a piece on the practices of Coles and Woolies, but before I pilfer it for the content of this video, I have to make this point. Four Corners used to be the premier investigative journalism outlet of Australia, sending journalists to remote conflict zones to uncover secret massacres, exposing links between organised crime with the political class, toppling governments. Now it's like shorter philosophy tube episodes over and over again. Here are the existential and cultural anxieties of elite Gen Xers for 40 minutes every Monday. And we still think we're better than 60 minutes. Thanks for paying for it, Australia. Look, it's not entirely like philosophy tube. It doesn't have the cool single white female element of completely impersonating and stealing the identity of ContraPoints that we all love. Fuck, that would be good though, wouldn't it? One day the reporters all start dressing exactly like Shari Markson just to freak her out. That being said, on a good day, you'll get a dry 40 minutes on the price of milk. Go Four Corners! Exposing how Coles and Woolies, shockingly, keep their profit margins high, and the tactics they use to do so are, you ready for this? Raising prices for consumers more than the amount of suppliers raising their prices on Coles and Woolies. Ooh, yeah, it's important to talk about that, maybe to shame supermarkets into reeling their prices in, but it's pretty obvious as well, isn't it? I swear to God, the only people in Australia who don't increase their prices above supply chain levels are Vietnamese bakeries. And that's why I live on a diet of Neenish tarts and chicken rolls. And even when they do raise their prices on those chicken rolls by 30 cents to keep up with inflation, don't worry, I still complain. We already know that Coles and Woolies have some of the highest profit margins for supermarkets in the world. The question is, what can be done about it? I'd like to put forward a few solutions, personally. Number one, beating up as many supermarket workers as you can, so Coles and Woolies have to pay excesses in insurance, thus reducing their profit margins. Who said the workers' struggle was ever gonna be easy? Number two, pretending to be confused and going to the toilet in the fruit and veggie stalls. Where's the toilet paper? This is COVID all over again. Oh, well, how was I supposed to know it was a half melon? It looks like a porta potty do me. Number three, we promote as many obscure far-right influences as possible so more people refuse to eat soy, bugman, GMO food and live off exclusively protein supplements. And here you were thinking I was going to suggest shoplifting. Seriously, how uncreative do you think I am? Plus, supermarkets already take into account a certain amount of stock loss from Adelaide's, girls with BPD, and nervous inner west DJs whose one act of resistance is pushing the wrong buttons on the self-checkout. Fight the power. By the way, if you have BPD and you're upset by that joke, all I can suggest is that you calm down and shut up. Otherwise, everyone you love is going to abandon you if you keep carrying on like that. Unfortunately, the Albanese government's solution was ordering the Australian Competition and Consumer Commission, the ACCC, to undertake a year-long inquiry into price increases. But here's a fucking inquiry for you, Albo. How about you go into a bloody supermarket instead of a Qantas lounge for once, mate? Don't worry, they also ordered a review of the Food and Grocery Code of Conduct. Oh yes, I was very familiar with that before this video. Apparently that's the thing. a voluntary code which is meant to ensure that supermarkets do as Vorsh and Destiny insist upon in Twitch debates, act in good faith. But it clearly hasn't worked. Look at this video.
Half price was $19. No, it wasn't. $16.10. You absolute assholes.
Coles, blatantly building strawman prices only to take them down. What would Vorsh think, eh? Anyway, us everyday Aussies don't need to wait for these increases to know we're being ripped off. I tried to buy ingredients for a simple lobster thermidor the other day. It was fucked. The Australian Council of Trade Unions commissioned Alan Fels, the former chairman of the ACCC, to do an inquiry into price gouging, and it found what the OECD and Australia Institute have also found, which is inflation is being driven by corporate gouging, using the cover of external events like, supply chain disruptions, and how's this one? The war in Ukraine. Yeah, that increases prices more than justified, sure. It does a little bit, but shut up. The report recommended some pretty stern implementations. They recommended that Australia introduce a divestiture law. You know what that is? That is a law that would allow for big businesses to be broken up when a court finds that they've contravened competition law. I mean, it's no shitting in the kale section, but it's a start. It also recommended making it an offence to charge excessive prices, banning non-compete clauses, allowing for secondary boycotts if they don't substantially lessen competition, making the Food and Grocery Code mandatory and enforceable, along with a bunch of other smaller and boring but smart and useful shit that I can't be bothered repeating. And I know you wouldn't expect this from me, but I really like these recommendations from a union commissioned inquiry and really hope that Labor implements as many of them as possible, especially when the worst consequences these companies face at the moment is a stern episode of Philosophy Tube. Sorry, Four Corners, where the CEOs of Coles and Woolworths still just blame shit like the price of wheat for their exorbitant prices. So you gotta give four fuckheads credit where it's due. Well done for keeping the camera on the CEO of Woolworths as he trips himself over and smashes his face into the pavement. The only other option is we start treating food like a luxury good, you know, shit that derives its value from the very fact that it's exclusive and expensive. You've got a Birkin bag, well I've got a loaf of Wonder White. You've got a super limited Supreme brick, well I've got a McCain frozen Supreme pizza. We'd all be less fat for it. And maybe we'd learn to treasure food more. Plus, think about all the money you could make on the resale market. I know we all want to shit on Coles and Woolworths because it's easy to rage at the price of food to justify shoplifting. Fun too. But I also think that forcing them to rein in their profits won't be enough. Real wages need to increase. And the price of bread reducing will only play a part of that. Our real wages have only just begun recovering after a sustained period of decline under the Liberals. When they left office, real wages, think about this, they were falling at a rate of 3.4%. They're finally moving in the right direction. Not by enough yet. And as economist Lee Van Onselen points out, we have had a collapse of disposable income per capita, lowest rental availability on record, and the largest migrant intake on record. If anyone was serious about easing the cost of living, the first thing that you would do is you would obviously reduce immigration so that you can push up wages, down rents. But as I've pointed out in earlier vids, there isn't much of a political appetite to fix that for now. So some chin-scratching inquiries about why grocery prices are so high might just have to do. But in reality, there has been a convergence of a whole bunch of factors that have slashed most people's standards of living like we haven't seen in many years, whilst a small section of society that wants to extract as much of your labour and as much of your money as possible has benefited greatly. Supermarkets are a part of that, but don't forget all the other price gouging monopolies in Australia are also doing their bit, such as banks, who are slow to pass on rate rises to depositors, but very quick to pass them on to borrowers, or property developers, most of which exist purely to speculate and push up the price of land. Well, that's not entirely fair on developers. A large chunk of them provide the essential service of cleaning organised crime's coke money. And don't even get me started on the price of coke. Actually, that is a serious issue that Australia's political class might have the aptitude to hold their nose and do something on. Fuck 'em all, am I right? For now, though, we'll have to wait and see for the results of these inquiries and what the government is going to do about supermarkets charging too much. Anyway, I'm not in power, so I guess all I can really do is say, be aware of these people trying to take your money. Now, subscribe to my Patreon and give me as much money as possible. Come on, operating costs are up because of supply chain disruptions in Ukraine. Yeah, I can point to that on a map.